After we got married, my husband's parent tried to move in, saying, "I'll stay here to make sure you treat my child right." My husband hesitated, then agreed. I waited until they brought their bags in, then smiled and said, "Good. Because my parents are moving in too." The look on their face was priceless. So, this happened right after my husband and I got married. His parents, Michael and Deborah, always had a lot of opinions about our relationship, but I figured once we were married, things would calm down. I was wrong. We had just gotten back from our honeymoon in Italy. The apartment was still full of unpacked suitcases, and I was exhausted from the long flight. Alex, my husband, came home from work looking nervous. That alone should have been a red flag. I was in the kitchen when he said it. "My parents are coming to stay with us for a little while." I looked up from my plate. "Okay, for how long?" He scratched the back of his head. "Indefinitely?" I put my fork down. "What?" "My mom wants to be around too. Help us settle in." I just stared at him. I pushed. Why would they need to help us settle in? We're not new to each other. We've been living together for a year. That's when Alex hesitated. His eyes flickered to the side like he was debating whether to tell me the truth. I folded my arms and waited. Finally, he sighed. She wants to make sure you treat me right." I laughed. Out loud. "Because what? You're serious?" I asked. He just nodded. "So let me get this straight. His mom wanted to move into our home to supervise our marriage? She thought I would mistreat her grown adult son, and the solution was just invading our space? And worse, Alex was letting her?" I told him it was a bad idea. I told him they could come visit, but moving in was a different story. But the next evening, a car pulled up in front of our apartment. I looked out the window and saw Michael and Deborah unloading suitcases. Not an overnight bag. Not a duffel. Full-sized rolling suitcases. I turned to Alex, waiting for him to fix this. "Tell them no. Set boundaries. Something." Instead, he mumbled, "We'll make it work." Oh, we were absolutely going to make it work. I watched as they dragged their bags inside. Deborah had this satisfied little smile like she had won. I pulled out my phone and dialed my mom. Me. "Hey, Mom. How do you feel about moving in with us for a while?" "Mom, what?" Me. "Yeah, Alex's parents are staying indefinitely. I figured you and Dad should too. Just to keep things fair." Silence. Then my dad shouted in the background, "We're packing." When I announced that my parents would also be moving in, Deborah's smile disappeared so fast, I thought she might get whiplash. Michael blinked like he misheard me. "What?" "Well, if you guys are here to make sure I treat Alex right, my parents should be here to make sure Alex treats me right." I smiled. "Fair is fair, right?" Deborah turned to Alex. "Tell her this is ridiculous." Alex, who was already overwhelmed by their arrival, just shrugged. "I mean, it is fair." I could have kissed him for that. The next morning, my parents arrived. They were ready. My dad made himself comfortable on the couch, flipping through channels like he owned the place. In his underwear. My mom immediately went into the kitchen, inspecting the fridge. "Oh wow, Deborah, I see you put your soy milk where my eggs should go. How do we solve this?" Deborah's jaw clenched. At breakfast, my dad loudly chewed his toast and said, "Michael, you chew really weird." Michael blinked. "Excuse me?" "I'm just saying. It's kind of annoying." By the second day, my mom had taken over organizing the closets. My dad had declared the couch his spot. They started asking Alex if he was getting enough sleep, if he was eating right, if I was treating him well. Deborah was fuming. On the third night, she pulled me aside. "This is insane." I shrugged. "So is moving into your son's home because you think his wife is going to mistreat him?" She just stared at me. And that was the moment I knew I had won. Deborah didn't leave after that conversation. If anything, she doubled down. By the fourth day, she started escalating her passive aggressiveness. She'd sigh loudly when she saw dishes in the sink. If I was in the kitchen, she'd say things like, "Oh, I always made sure to cook fresh meals for my family." A microwave dinner doesn't feel very loving. If I left the apartment to run errands, she'd say to Alex, "Is she always out this much? You must get lonely." Michael wasn't much better. Every time my dad made himself comfortable on the couch, Michael would visibly bristle. Like my dad was some intruder in a house that I paid for. The whole situation was getting ridiculous. I knew Alex wasn't happy. He was exhausted. He looked like a man being pulled in 4 different directions. One night, I walked into our bedroom and found him sitting on the bed, rubbing his temples. "This is a lot." I leaned against the door. "Well, it was fine when it was just your parents, right?" He sighed. "I get it. You were proving a point." I crossed my arms. "And do you get why I had to prove it?" He looked up at me. "Yeah." I waited. I should have told them no. Bingo. Deborah must have sensed she was losing ground because the next morning, she played her biggest card yet. While I was in the shower, she pulled Alex aside. "Are you truly happy?" she asked. Alex frowned. "What? You just seem different. Quieter. Like something's wrong." I wasn't there, but I knew how she operated. She spoke in that soft, concerned voice. The kind that sounded so reasonable but carried the sharpness of a knife. When Alex tried to brush it off, she dropped the bomb. "I think you rushed into this marriage." That's what she said. To my husband. That's the moment Alex finally saw it. The manipulation. The control. The real reason she was here. I didn't even have to fight this battle. Because that night, Alex came to bed, rolled onto his side, and said, "I think my parents need to go home." I just smiled. "Oh, you think?" The next morning, Alex sat both his parents down. "Mom, Dad, this isn't working. You need to go home." Deborah's mouth fell open. "Excuse me?" Michael's face turned red. "Where is this coming from?" Alex took a deep breath. "We love you both, but this isn't your home. You can visit, but living here isn't an option." Deborah looked at me. "This is her, isn't it?" Michael slammed his coffee cup on the table. "We raised you. We sacrificed everything for you. And this is how you repay us." Alex's jaw clenched. "Dad, it's not about ungrateful," Michael snapped. And then he stormed out of the apartment. Deborah followed him, but not before turning to Alex and saying, "You'll regret this." Then, just like that, they were gone. For the first time in weeks, the apartment was silent. I turned to Alex. "So, when should I tell my parents to leave?" He groaned. "Can we just have one peaceful day first?" Fair enough. But I knew this wasn't over. After Michael and Deborah left, I thought we had finally reclaimed our home. My parents were still around, but honestly, they were just vibing at this point. My dad had claimed the couch as his throne, and my mom was experimenting with her new kitchen. They were comfortable. But then, 2 days later, Alex got a text. "Mom, we need to talk. Meet us at the cafe on 5th. He sighed. "I should probably go." I raised an eyebrow. "You sure? This feels like a trap." It was absolutely a trap. Alex came back an hour later looking shaken. I put my book down. "What happened?" He dropped into the chair. "They're selling their house." "What?" "Yeah. They already listed it. They're downsizing." I stared at him, waiting for the punchline. "They want to move into a condo." His face darkened. "In our building." I laughed because surely he was joking. But no. He was dead serious. I grabbed his phone and read the texts myself. "Mom, we need to be close to you. Family should stick together." "Mom, I'm already looking at a lovely 2-bedroom on your floor." "Mom, we'll finally be neighbors. Won't that be wonderful?" No, it would not be wonderful. I dialed my mom. "Me, you and Dad need to extend your stay." "Mom, why? What's going on?" "Me, Michael and Deborah are trying to move into our building." There was a pause. Then, my dad shouted in the background, "Hell no." There was no way in hell I was going to let my in-laws live next door. So, my parents and I worked fast. My mom started inquiring about every available condo in the building. She wasn't actually planning to buy anything, but she made it look like there was a huge interest in the units. My dad, meanwhile, made sure every interaction with the building manager was loud, chaotic, and deeply concerning. He'd wander the halls shirtless, chewing on a cigar. He doesn't even smoke, loudly complaining about all the weirdos moving in. I found out which realtor Deborah was working with and put in fake inquiries from fake buyers. Suddenly, the condos were in high demand, and the price went up. Within 3 days, Deborah called Alex. "Mom, we've decided to stay in our house for now. The condos are overpriced." Mission accomplished. For a few weeks, things were quiet. I thought we had won. Then, one morning, Alex got a phone call from his dad. Alex answered on speakerphone. "Michael, I lost my job." "Michael, we're out of money." "Michael, we need a place to stay." Alex and I locked eyes. And that's when I knew this nightmare wasn't over. Michael and Deborah's emergency call hit us like a truck. They had spent weeks trying to manipulate their way into our lives, and now they had the perfect excuse to move in financial ruin. Alex paced the living room, rubbing his temples. "I mean, if they really lost everything, I cut him off. Are you seriously considering this?" He hesitated. "They're my parents," he muttered. "And they're not our responsibility. They have nowhere else to go," he said, voice strained. My parents, who had been listening from the kitchen, walked in. My dad snorted. "Oh, come on. They didn't lose everything." Alex frowned. "What do you mean?" My dad pulled out his phone, did a few taps, then turned the screen to us. It was Michael's recent golf club membership. A very expensive membership. Paid 2 weeks ago. Then another screenshot. Deborah's recent boutique shopping spree. Thousands of dollars spent at luxury stores. Then another. A listing for their house. It had not actually sold yet. They're lying, my mom said. They didn't lose their money. They're just trying to guilt-trip their way into your home because they want control. Alex turned pale. We immediately called Michael and Deborah to come over. They arrived smug. Like they already knew Alex would cave. They sat down like they owned the place. Deborah, we know this is hard for you, honey, but it's just temporary. Alex was shaking. His hands clenched into fists. I had never seen him like this before. He took a deep breath. Then, in a voice that was eerily calm, he said, "You lied." Michael frowned. What? You didn't lose everything. You just wanted to force your way into our home. Deborah laughed nervously. That's not true. Alex held up my dad's phone. Then explain this. He started scrolling through every purchase, every lie. Michael's face turned red. You've been spying on us? Are you kidding? I exploded. You came here, lied, tried to manipulate your son, and you have the nerve to act offended? Deborah's voice shook. Alex, you know I only wanted to protect you. Protect me from what? Alex's voice finally snapped. Silence. Michael grabbed Deborah's hand and stood up. We don't have to take this. Alex stood too. No, you don't. You can leave. Deborah's eyes filled with tears. Honey, we're family. Alex's face was hard. No. You don't treat me like family. You treat me like property. Like something you own. And I'm done. Michael scoffed. You'll regret this. Alex stared straight at him. No, Dad. I won't. And then, for the second time, they walked out. For the first time in weeks, the apartment was truly silent. Alex sat down on the couch and buried his face in his hands. I sat beside him, resting my hand on his back. You okay? He didn't answer for a long time. Then, finally, I should have done that years ago. My parents started packing the next morning. They had never planned to stay forever. They were just waiting for Alex to wake up. Before they left, my dad clapped him on the shoulder. You did good, kid. My mom hugged him and whispered, you deserve better. And for the first time in his life, I think Alex finally believed that. Michael and Deborah went low contact after that. At first, they sent Alex guilt-tripping texts. But when he stopped responding, they gave up. I wish I could say they apologized. They didn't. They never took responsibility for what they did. But Alex? He was free. And that was the best revenge of all.